What's shaking? Hey, we're back again. I'm Rick Jordan, your host, and today we're going all in. I've got an amazing guest for you today, and I'm going to do a throwback to like one of our first 24 episodes because he came on and crushed it when he talked about working with your spouse, right? And that was something that I never ever mastered in my life. It was amazing. It was an amazing episode. I suggest you go back to look at it. But today we're going to talk about what he's doing next. Alex Mont-Ros, what's up, brother?
How you doing, brother? Thank you for having me on again. I appreciate it. I know it's been quite some time, at least since the podcast, but we've had some run-ins at some events and stuff. And we have, I know that one Funnel Hacking Live coming up here in the next few weeks, which I'm ecstatic about. Both Lisa and I are really excited to get together again and hang out and just kind of, kind of soak it all in. And it's always a great event at Funnel Hacking Live. So we're excited about that.
It sure is. And that's where we keep educating ourselves too, right? As entrepreneurs and getting around like minds. I love it. But that's where we reconnected last year. Yeah. Was it Funnel Hacking Live?
I know, man. I remember seeing you and I'm like, hold on, is that Rick? And I was like, nah, I don't know if I should go up to him. And sure enough, man, because for a minute there, I was like, I know that face. And then I love, I think the black shirt and just kind of the branding that you kind of built for yourself, man. I've actually now I'm wearing a black shirt.
That's awesome.
Just for this podcast for you, man. So.
Thank you. I appreciate that. That's important. That's something that my team moved me into because there was a reason for the way that I used to dress, and then there's a reason for the way that I dress now. A lot of it's been intentional before because I used to wear a lot of Robert Graham shirts, like really bright, colorful, all over the place, right? But that was a lot of I used to be really fat, years back. And I don't think we ever got into that. But then it's like I dropped all the weight. I could wear this stuff. I dropped like 90 pounds, right? And then I put another 20 on in muscle. But I wore those clothes because it's like that's really who I was inside, but I could never get out because I couldn't wear the clothes that I ever thought could make me look good. So I use those. And now, because that was so complex in packing and everything. And now with taking a tech company public, it's like, this is the brand. It's so easier because time is not on my side ever now, and it's like wasting thought. It's like you look at Steve Jobs, the black turtleneck all the time, the way all these execs dress. Even like John Ledger from T-Mobile, right? We know him from up in Bellevue when we were up there. He was always in magenta and black. But it's like there's a lot less mental bandwidth that you have to put forward something that doesn't really matter, that you can look really good and it becomes part of your brand. It's beautiful.
100%.
And then packing is a lot easier too, man. You just throw some crap in your suitcase and you're good to go. But dude, go ahead. Yeah.
You can never own too much black. That's Lisa and I have that literally in our bathroom it's a kind of like a little picture frame deal. Because Lisa and we've kind of transitioned over the last couple of years of going down that route of minimizing decisions, especially when it comes to getting dressed in the mornings. And just get to work and get productive, So I feel you on that. It's been actually a huge shift in getting things done, and you don't think of it as being a big deal of like, well, it's just getting dressed, but it's just one less decision you have to make in the morning just to get going. So we're following suit, man. It's good stuff,
dude. I hope everybody who's listening picks up on that, right? Because that's like gold. Right there that we're talking about for real, but you phrased it so eloquently as minimizing those decisions. And I'll say those decisions because they're the ones that really don't matter much to what you said that take away from your productivity. Who cares? As long as you look like you take care of yourself, you're fit, you go after stuff, then you're fine. Just do it, right? And it becomes part of your brand. I've had it's a little different these days, right? Because when you first came on with the show 3.5 years ago, something like that now, within the first 24 episodes, now we're pushing 300 episodes. It's just insane because we've gone from when you were here, it was like we launched and we hit like 7 countries, right? And now we're in over 50 countries and we're top 2% in the world, which I'm so grateful for. But part of that brand transition was what you were saying too. And this is not me pumping this is just fact. Like you were able to notice me and what I wear just because it's a decision that I was able to minimize and then something that's recognizable too. I had someone, this part was funny. I had one person at an event that I was speaking at. This was last year in October. Like I was coming down an escalator and he looks up, he's like, Grant Cardone. It's like, no. It's like, no. That's you're Rick Jordan. You're the guy with the podcast.
That's awesome. Man.
I know,
hey, it's a good. It might be I don't know. It depends on who you ask. It could be a compliment or not. But I would take it as a compliment.
Exactly. It's
cool.
like I need to get a selfie and send this to my son. I'm like, go for it, bro. That's all good.
That's awesome.
But they're recognizable factor, no matter how big you want to play or how boutique you want to stay. Whoa. Did you hear that? All right. Well, sometimes
I like it.
I make myself like, how big you want to play or how boutique you want to stay. Either way, you still need a brand. You got
to copyright that. Trademark that saying, man, right away. Love it.
Oh man. Oh, speaking about going big, right? And then go transitioning and all that. A few years ago, I think you're still with them a little bit in like a part of an exit with Moncord, right? And you sold. And you were crushing it back then. I'm sure you're still crushing it now. Before we go into the stuff you're doing currently, which stick around because we're going to talk about dads and intentional fathering, right? Is that a good way to put it?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. 100%.
Awesome. So this is something that you were able to do, obviously, have a good working relationship with your spouse, but you exited. Why did you choose to exit? And why did you choose the moment, that timing when you exited?
Yeah, it's man, it was definitely not. It wasn't easy for a lot of reasons, but when we started our company back in 2016, some of the genesis of why we did it. This is the backstory was just to make enough money to remodel our house, and what turned into a remodel project became a company, right? With employees and all. Lisa and I look back, we're like, this is crazy. Like a year in, 2 years in, we're like, what? This was just to take care of the remodel. We were just going to make a couple extra dollars on the side. And then we realized, we actually landed on something here that's pretty significant. There's a market need and let's just keep pushing. So when the pandemic hit, it was a real estate services company. Real estate went crazy. And it was just, we were out really on the uptick of things, right? So we had hit our 5-year mark and we were just considering, is this, we're like hitting literally on, it was almost to the date. And when we started kind of negotiations on that, we were thinking, wow, I can't believe how everything had just lined up to just happen around this time frame. And it all kind of fell into place. I think it was the opportunity. It was the player we're happy with, the acquisition and the partnership that, now that we have established with them and kind of, and also catching their vision too for what they wanted to create, that I think at scale, they were already kind of nationwide. We were in like a regional market. So it just made sense to join kind of forces and really kind of expand this bigger business. So I think everything just lined up for the opportunity. And the good news is that, I heard this the other day, like, you should sell when you don't have to sell and buy when others are desperate and they need to sell. And we were in this opportunity where we didn't have to sell. We were in a perfect position. Revenue was going up, profitability, all that. And looking back, we don't regret it. We felt like we made the right decision. And so here we are now. We're almost 2 years in, give or take, I think. About a year and a half. So we're working with the firm that acquired us and helping that business scale and being part of their team. And it's been good. It's been a good ride, and we're excited that we made that decision.
That's awesome, man. I appreciate you saying that you're still with them at this point, because that's something that, as I'm acquiring, it's interesting for those who want to completely exit. Some sellers, and this is important, when you build it to sell, which I've said this before, regardless of whether you actually want to sell or not, you should still build it as if you are going to sell.
Yes.
It'll help you maintain your profitability numbers that you need to actually have a good lifestyle, and even more so ensure that you're taking out of the business as an owner what you're supposed to, rather than
Correct.
sacrificing your own income for the betterment of whatever other stupid crap you could think of. Because the reason why you build the company to begin with is to take care first and foremost of yourself. Of course, your other people that work for you and all of that, but absolutely, you shouldn't sacrifice your own lifestyle, your own needs, your own expenses just because you're trying to make something work long term and settle, right?
Yeah.
But then afterwards, when you do that, you're building it to sell, but there is an integration period that's so important.
Yes.
And you have to understand that you will be there as the seller. You will be there. You have to be there for that integration period, unless you're being picked up by some large private equity firm or something like that. And you are completely replaceable as an owner. But typically you've got those relationships with the clients, with the vendors, everything else that has to be shifted over to the new ownership. Yeah, it's important.
Yeah. And that's probably the most challenging is integration. Just because, you're trying to maintain relationships with your clients, your customers that you're bringing over, they've, for years have come to trust your organization, your business, your personal relationships. And then all of a sudden you show up one day and you're like, hey, by the way, we sold and we're still here.
Yeah.
However, there's a new process, there's new systems, and, there's this, you got to kind of calculate, there's going to be some churn. There's going to be clients that are, they only wanted to work with you. They're not, they're not really going to be happy about this transition. So the integration period is definitely challenging. I think we did pretty well though. When we look back at like even our churn of clients, our ability to really get them on board, move them forward into this new world with this new organization, knowing that we were there to hold their hand along the way. Lisa and I think we did, along with our team. I really want to thank all of our team members that were part of that process. I think we made it really seamless, and within, I think it was within 5-6 months we were there. So, so that actually. But I've heard other stories where integration is, it can go really bad, and not work out well. I think having a good game plan in place is key at the very beginning for that.
Right on. There's a few key things as we end this segment today with the show is on selling, right? On ending up exiting your business. One, you made intention to do so, right? As we talked about. I love that you said that, your 5-year mark, it almost ended up to the exact day, right? Because there's something, there is just something like some law, some unwritten law that I know of that when you actually like choose a date, it just stays in your head. And regardless of if you're actually consciously keeping that on top of your mind or not, it's still subconsciously pushing you towards that. It's something that everybody should do. I've heard it called, just goal setting, a date setting, somebody called it quantum date setting, whatever it is, but it's just putting something out there saying, by this date, I will do this. And if you write it down somewhere, it's almost like you etch it in stone, right? You can't change it, and then you just push towards that. It's phenomenal. The other thing is that integration is essential. Make sure that you will be sticking around for that. And third, I love how you were talking about the timing on all these things, on how you constantly evaluated whether it was the right time or not throughout the course of that 5 years. Just phenomenal, man. It's something that you actively put intention into. Sweet, brother. I mean, as exciting as that stuff is, what you're moving to now is even more exciting, right? I can tell. I mean, you're just smiling huge because this is. You can tell this is your heart, brother. This is why I'm like, you got to come back on. You got to come back on and talk about this. Intentional fathering. I don't know if that's what you called it, but that's what I picked it up as. Tell me about this project, man.
Yeah, I'm right now. The idea is really coming from a place of a servant's heart towards just men and fathers. Over the last probably decade, when I was back in my corporate world days, and I would deal with colleagues that were working 80 hours a week, flying, from staying in God knows what city and state, and just doing the work and really missing out on their family and their kids. All to chase another dollar, and then through that process, and then even at Moncord, where our culture was really established around family. We wanted everybody, to really understand that, look, we have a family. We had a family of 5 kids. We're here to first and foremost make sure that the health of the family is a priority, number one, and then everything else follows. And so we really kind of ingrained that into the DNA of our culture with all of our employees. There was never any issues around, if somebody really needed to take that time or focus on their family. We always promoted that. And then now, still kind of get some of that, those engagements from a work perspective, but even externally, my neighbors, church, different kind of groups that I'm part of, the content I've been pushing out is really there to just, provide some guidance on, look, what we did, Lisa and I, was very hard to build a company and not go through a divorce. Okay. Yeah. So just really, plain and simple. I think the stats are high. I don't have the numbers right now for me, but couples that go into that relationship at the very, tend to have a higher divorce rate. So we knew what we were getting ourselves into. And what we focused on at the very beginning, we put some non-negotiables in place. When we said, okay, when we build this company, here's the non-negotiables. One, if we ever felt that the business was encroaching on our marriage to the point of a divorce, we were going to cut the business. Literally, it didn't matter how much money it was making, we're done. And so that non-negotiable became concrete, and it really guided us on a lot of our decisions, where when we would check in, we would validate, where are we at right now? Are we on the brink? Because there was long nights of, blood, sweat, and tears for the, and as the saying goes, right? So, but through that process, I also realized I had to also step up as a father to be more intentional with the time that I did have, and not take for granted the time that my kids, the time that they had, whether it was extracurricular activities at home, engaging with them at home, doing family meetings, which right now I'm really pushing the idea of like having a family meeting. And so through those years, it was kind of building up that muscle of intentionality, because I do believe it's a muscle. A lot of us can be intentional for a day, maybe 2, maybe a week. And before you know it, life hits, and then you're back to being zoned in on, it's important, work stuff, whatever else is like priority. It's important, but there's collateral damage that comes in, and that's the family. So minimizing that collateral damage with intentionality is what I'm trying to help fathers right now with. And I started off helping really the blended family kind of community, just through, again, just this free content stuff out there, just pushing the message of, how to engage within a blended family. And then now I'm kind of transitioning into more of a leadership, father, intentional way of kind of living, so that you can not only thrive at home, but also thrive in business.
That's awesome, man. I like how you put boundaries around things when it came to your relationship, because clearly that was intentional, very clearly, that you were ready to cut anything else, right? And that's what you went into it at, is saying that this is the priority for us. And money's money, man. I say it all the time, is that money is really just a tool. And there's so much of it that's available out there. Even in the midst of a capital raise right now, it seems like there's so many places that you can just like unturn stones, and there it is. And it's always going to be abundant, because there's so much of it that exists, as long as you're looking for it, and as long as you place it in the right priority slot in your life, right? And when I say that, it's not, like you said, work's a priority, you dive into that stuff, but still money as a whole for me is very much a support mechanism rather than a priority of itself. Like money can support building a strong family. Money can support building a huge business. Money can support building a good relationship. And it comes in a place to kind of surround those things and just lift it up, rather than something that becomes something that squishes it down. I really appreciate that, especially from a father perspective, right? Because if we go back to, if you like traditional roles, which is not really the case anymore in society, right? Because almost every home is a dual income home. in middle America, even in upper class America, almost every home is a dual income home. When you've got the traditional family structure, and it becomes interesting to see what people go after. And it becomes even more interesting to see what they're willing to sacrifice to go after that one thing that they think is going to fulfill them. How do you shift that mindset, man? Because there's got to be a moment to where, like, you realize, well, all that stuff isn't nearly as worth it as my kids or whatever.
For me and for Lisa, it unfortunately, it took the pain of going through a divorce. We're both on our second marriage. We'll be married 10 years come next March. And that pain we never wanted to create again for any of our kids, because I went through the pain of walking through that with my kids, with my family. And it was just not good. So when we got married again, both of us, well, married again, but when Lisa and I got married for the first time, we made a commitment, like we didn't want to have to go through that again. And what did that take? Well, it took being intentional now. I got married in my early 20s, kind of went through this process of kind of figuring myself out. And what do you know, I got married at 21. What did I know? I was still a kid, raising kids, trying to be, the best father I could be. But I didn't know myself yet. And so it took a little bit of, it took a lot to kind of really do some self-reflection on the second round. And same thing with Lisa too, because she went through that process as well. And so when we committed to that, we said, okay, one, pain was like the driver. We don't want to create more pain for our kids nor for ourselves. And then two, it's like, well, how do we do that? Well, we got to be intentional. Okay, what does that mean? Boundaries, values, principles that we're going to live by, and how we're going to also raise our kids by. And that foundation started to kind of establish something really strong that now, I feel like all of our kids are thriving. We've been able to really speak into them in a way that they get it. They see us living it by example. We're not just talking about it, but we're actually living it. And that's been a huge, that's something that I want fathers to really understand, is that if you're not living it, your kids will see it. You have to be living it out 100%. Yes, we're imperfect. We're going to make mistakes. It's obvious. However, your actions every day, your kids are watching. And if you're going to build a legacy, you got to set the tone and the example of what that's going to look like, so that they have shoulders that they can then climb upon and keep building upon that foundation, generation over generation, really build a legacy. Yeah. So
once you have that awareness to where you're like, wow, I'm really not putting a lot of intentionality into things, what's the first step? Because I mean, there's a lot that are probably listening that are not at the point of a divorce yet, right? But they could be seeing that in their future, right? Just because of where things, if they're really real with themselves, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I would think almost any entrepreneur could look themselves in the mirror and be really real with themselves and think that could be a possibility, unless there's intentionality that you're talking about here. Once they have that awareness, right, and actually accept that that's truth, what's the first step that they need to take?
Man, I think actually they need to sit down and have an honest conversation with their spouse about where they're at from that perspective of the awareness that's been now, and that enlightenment, whatever that is. Because if it stays within, you're both still on two different pages as a marriage, right? As a husband and wife.
That's huge. Yep.
So you got to have that open communication. And sometimes it's uncomfortable and it's scary, sometimes you think like, oh, things are good. But under the surface, things are not good.
Yeah. You got to face your own faults, right? Because almost the stuff that you get upset about with the person you're in a relationship with are really like a projection of the things you're upset with yourself about.
Yes.
So that conversation is tough, man. For sure it is.
It's tough. And so you got to face yourself. You got to be honest with yourself. But that's the start, I think, is having that honest, open conversation about, I've not been living up to the man that I need to be for my family, the husband I need to be for you. And therefore, these are the things that now you know what the journey that I'm about to take us on, as well as the work that I'm going to do on myself. Because then that's when the work begins. And that's where I talked about like earlier, intentionality. It's easy to do it it's like working out. You work out for a day, easy. But do that for a year and do it for 2 years, 5, 10. It's a habit, right? So understanding that it's going to be a journey and sticking and being consistent, then you start to see, I think, a thriving life start to unfold little by little, because your wife and your kids are now being led by action, not just by some empty words because you felt bad or you had some worldly remorse for something, that you got upset about or whatever the case is, but you didn't really want to change.
That's gold, man. I'm going to end it with this question here today, because transitioning into something that people can actually take action on. You mentioned this briefly, a family meeting, right? And I've even seen your content, right? And I've seen you guys all sitting around the table in the midst of one of your family meetings. I think you call them a family huddle, right? In your content. Yeah.
I've been vacillating terms because I think family huddle but I love where we're going right now. So I'll let you finish, because I really want to dive into this piece right now.
Please do. Tell me the structure that you follow, what the benefits are, all of that, man. Just an overview that people can maybe take some action on today.
Yeah. So it's interesting. So the family meeting, we've been doing it for years within our home. We haven't always been consistent. We struggled with challenges of like, an agenda. How do you do an agenda for a family meeting? When you got little toddlers and you got kids and they're running around, like, how do you keep them engaged? How do you make sure that you have a focused time to where you're going to get things done that matter to the family? And how do you stay consistent? And through the years, we've had ups and downs of this, of really hitting it, really good and doing all the right things and really seeing progress. And then we let things waver and lack of consistency. And it all kind of stemmed from a lack of structure, a lack of like having something that is going to be, scheduled, concrete, and really just getting started at the end of the day. So through the years, I've had this idea. I'm like, gosh, there's a lot of planners out there. There's a lot of planners out there that talk about productivity planners, you name it. I mean, there's all sorts of planners, but I haven't found one that's dedicated to like a family meeting. So Lisa and I were like, all right, let's do this to help families out and try to help them kind of get some structure, give them some instruction on how to do a family meeting, and then launch. Right. So over the last few months, we've been working on a family planner. We have, I'm not going to promote it here, but I'm not promoting it. I'm just kind of showing it to the group here. But the whole idea around this is this: how many meetings are you having on any corporate week? Right.
I have a hate relationship with Zoom.
I mean, yeah.
Yep.
And so I feel like the enemy of a family meeting is this idea that you're going to compartmentalize it as if it was a corporate meeting. Who wants to do another corporate meeting? Nobody, right? A lot of them are unproductive. A lot of them waste time. They could be done probably in a 3-sentence email, and it's inefficient. A lot of times, not always, but a lot of them are. So the moment the word, that's why I was like vacillating between huddle and meeting, was because I didn't want to stick with a word that might give somebody that wrong idea of like, hey, this is just another meeting. Gosh, yeah. I actually had a father come up to me and say, I was doing like these 5-day challenges, just free challenges I was doing just to help some dads out, get them going on just doing a family meeting. And the wife said to him, she goes, gosh, this feels like just another corporate meeting. And that dawned on me. I said, oh, good feedback. 1, 2, I realized, okay, this is what the paradigm shift has to change. If you're going to be intentional, how many of us have meetings with our friends, colleagues, whatever? We sit down, we have coffee, it's intentional, we schedule it, and we get a lot of value. There's a lot of discussion, there's a lot of back and forth, and we leave feeling like we helped somebody, we served somebody. Yet when we get home, we walk in the door, we have no intention. We might, obviously we love our family, we love our kids, wives and all that. And then we think of like, okay, we got family matters to talk about. We got schedules, we got chores, we got like trips, we got, hey, core values. Like, what does that even mean to our family? All these things. I mean, you get a million things you could talk about, but yet we neglect it. The one place that you should never neglect the time to gather and talk about what really matters is at home. Yet we do it all day long. We never neglect it when it comes to work, when it comes to friends, colleagues, and so on. So the idea is like from a leadership perspective, how to get fathers to really kind of own it, step up, take action, get your family together, build better communicators. By the way, our kids sit around the table. They've been doing it. Some of our kids, now they're teenagers, but they were doing it when they were young. When we would go around the horn, like I like to call it, around the kind of the table, we say, hey, what's your, give us an update of what's going on. At the age of 3, they were saying, I had a good day today. I played with my friend. Perfect. That's all I need. We don't need it to be extensive. We go around the table. Over the years, the question becomes now more, I think there's a lot more now to discuss, because there's a habit formed of like how to communicate what matters to them, right? And bring to the surface at that time things that we could talk about to help them if they're struggling with an issue, or just even celebrate a win, right? And then that sets the tone for the meeting. And then from there, we talk about agenda we have like a top 5 agenda items that we talk about. We take open action items, things that are going to move, the needle over the week. And then we adjourn, and then we're done. It's usually 30 minutes to an hour. And depending on, how many kids are there and so on, we got even college kids that will pop in every now and then through FaceTime with us. I have my daughter, she's in Washington State University. So she'll pop in if she has time, and I know she's busy. But we open it up to her too. So it's not like just because she's not here, she's not part of the meeting, So anyhow, the goal is to be intentional with that time, get engagement with your family, and let them share what's going on, while at the same time kind of discussing things that really matter to the family, so you can move the family forward.
That's beautiful, man. And this sounds like it's a course that you're working on right now too, and you're going to launch a planner to everyone.
So right now we
I know you're not promoting it, so I'm going to promote you, because I think
I appreciate that. No, right now we have a prototype of a planner that we're pretty much giving away, and our goal is to really just get feedback on how does it work. What do you think we need to change that would make your time more intentional when you do have your family meeting?
Yeah.
So right now we're in this prototype type of phase of just understanding. It's not, this is like a passion project for us right now, just to understand what are the real challenges for families having a committed time together, and then getting that feedback loop in. And then over time, we'll figure out if there'll be a course or not. Right now, what I've learned is I'm just taking one step at a time. And right now everything's just been, pretty much a passion project just to help dads. I've been giving these away to a bunch of fathers. Here, use it. Let me know what you think. And I just want to get the feedback, so then I can better serve them later on down the road.
That's awesome, man. Where can anybody get in on this? Or are you accepting applications to be in the beta?
Yeah. I would say just follow me on Instagram at Dad's Step Up is my username. You can find me at Alex Mont-Ros, but at Dad's Step Up, and just DM me. It's a simple DM, and I can then talk through it, send you a copy, and then just use it. All I ask is that if I give it to you, just use it. I'm not making money on this. There's nothing. I just need people using it, and then I just want to hear how it's changing the dynamic of how they're engaging with their family consistently with intention.
That's beautiful.
Week over week, because it can't be like you do it 1 week and then you take 3 weeks off. Like, this thing has to be consistently done to where you're communicating on a consistent basis with your family on things that really matter.
That's a fantastic offer. Everyone, I hope you're listening, because this is a golden opportunity that really has the potential to change your family dynamic and change your life. I've known Alex for a long time. He's an amazing dude. And when it comes to your family, dude, you are all in. Dude, thanks for coming on today, man.
Yes. Thank you. I appreciate it. Thanks for